Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, we are going to talk about and hopefully come to the conclusion and understanding that we do not think alike. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you so much for joining me today. I very much appreciate it. All right, this is a trap that I fall into a lot, and certainly as I've gotten older and I've become more aware of it, it's lessened to a degree, but it's something that is a constant battle that I always have to deal with. And that is the understanding and the realization and the acceptance that not everyone thinks the way I think. Well, surprise, right? Holy smokes, what a revelation. Wow, Kale, we tuned in and I'm wasting my time on this podcast for you to tell me this. Yes, you are, and yes, I am, because that's how important it is. Arguably, I would say that this single concept of failing to understand and failing to account for is responsible for untold ills and fallouts and arguments and broken relationships and bad business deals and everything negative that you can think of when it comes to the business world or relationships or churches or sports, anything, right? The complete lack of ability to realize and understand that not everyone thinks like you. Okay? You understand this, right? We all do not have the same experiences. We may have gone to the same high school growing up, but did we have the same experiences there? We may have been on the same football team. Did we have the same experiences there? No, because no matter how similar your, whether it be upbringing, your training, your academics, whatever it is that has created you to this point in your life of experience, it is not the same as anyone else on this planet. Literally no one. You are, for lack of a better term, and I'm not meaning this in the negative sense, but you are the snowflake. You are there is not one like you out there on the planet ever. Just you. And because of that, that's a good thing and it's a bad thing, right? It's a great thing because you are unique. You have something special to offer to the world. You have something that only you can provide. You are uniquely made and gifted and talented, and all your experiences have led you to this point. And hopefully you're taking advantage of that and doing something good with those gifts and talents. But on the bad side, on the drawback side, is you are unique and you are gifted in unique ways and talented in unique ways, and you have a certain way of looking at life and a certain way of interpreting things and a certain way of communicating and a certain way of listening. All those types of things are unique to you, and it doesn't always mesh with other people. It doesn't always connect with other people in the way you intend. But I'm not talking so much about how you communicate with other people. I'm talking about how your understanding of your interactions with other people is not the same, right? The lens and the filter that you use to interpret the events that are going around you, whether it be a decision that has to be made and how you come to that decision and conclusion one way or another, right? Pros, cons, pure emotion, pure reaction, whatever that is for you, versus somebody else that does it completely opposite. And they, the two don't understand each other, for lack of a better term. And so that understanding that, especially in the business sense, and when you've got partners and when you've got employees and you've got, co-owners, co-founders, investors, all those types of personalities, because they're all different personalities. You have to be able, as the leader of your organization, to put yourself in their shoes, to see their perspective. Now, I'm not saying that you've got to be a mind reader and you've got to well, Susan over there, she's, very logical. And so she's going to go on a pure, what's the risk management Venn diagram type overlap, scale to make the decision, right? So she's very, I don't even remember left brain, right brain, which is which anymore. And then you've got over here, Greg, he's very touchy-feely. So he's probably going to just what feels right for him at the time, no matter what the data is telling him, right? And you've got all these things. And I'm not saying that you have to be able to differentiate and cater to each of those personalities, but you do need to understand that it exists, that people make decisions and they do things differently than you because of their experiences and because of how they're wired and how just how they act and what their personalities are like. But this is what we're called to as leaders when when people don't have that, and I don't want to use the term groupthink, but to a degree, as you're in your organization, you need a little groupthink. You see what I'm saying? Like, you need everyone to be bought into your vision. You need everyone to be bought into your purpose, like what your business is there to do. And it may be something as simple as, we're going to be the best pizzeria in our neighborhood. We're going to serve on time, fast, the best ingredients, whatever that is for you. We're going to be the top car dealership that's in our community for this model or this brand, right? And everyone needs to be bought into that in the sense of groupthink. Not so much everyone's making all the same decisions and doing the same things, but they need to be all on board with your vision as the leader and what that means. And even when they don't see that vision themselves, and this is kind of where I'm bringing this back around to, is people with different experiences, presumably you're listening to this podcast, you're probably doing other things to, like, self-improvement type stuff to grow, learn more, be a more well-rounded person, right? How to communicate, how to lead, how to run businesses, how to manage people, all those types of things. And not everyone is doing those things. Not everyone is taking those courses and reading those books and listening to those podcasts, and you need to understand that. So something that you learn here that you try to implement in your business might completely fall flat because you haven't communicated the point and the vision of why you're doing something, because that person, maybe it's your entry level, part-time high school worker, or, just graduated college and they're gaining that experience and they really have no practical, quote unquote workplace experience outside of whatever academia taught them about the specifics of their job. I'm thinking like engineering or something of that nature that's very technical versus subjective. But as a leader, we're called to impart that vision onto other people. And in so doing that, you bring them into your larger organization so they can be a part of that. And especially in those that are potentially lacking that ability to have that vision, because you'll find people that literally have never even thought about it. They've never even looked past, whatever's right in front of them to think, of have these goals or have this vision, or they could be part of something bigger than themselves. And I'm straying off a little bit from my original intent with, we don't all think alike and we have different lenses, but this is how you relate to people. This is a key and critical part of your leadership style, of your ability to put yourself in their shoes and how they're going to interpret the things that you do as a leader or that your organization does, and how that affects them, right? Can they look outside themselves, or are they pure and just pure selfish mode still, right? That, young, cocky person that only thinks about themselves and can only, look at themselves in the mirror versus anyone else, right? And I have to constantly do this with my wife. This has been a learning process over the years. I've failed at it so many times to understand that her and I, surprise, 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 do not think alike. We have very different ways of processing information, different capacities to which we can process information, and certainly different pathways that we come to our conclusions based on that information. Anyone who's married or has had a significant other of any form or fashion, even a brother or sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, like anything, even a pet, you understand this concept. And it was absolutely, as my boys are getting in, came into their young men stage and their teenage, preteen and teenage years, I'm seeing this as well of, there's so much I want to teach them. There's so much I want to imbue them with, how I want to, shape and mold them as young men and who I feel that they can be, and what they can contribute to society. But I have to constantly step back and go, dude, I'm in my mid-40s. I failed and failed and failed and failed, and I'm only at where I'm at now for constant, self-analysis and self-improvement. I can't expect them to be where I'm at, as a 14-year-old kid and do all the things that I would do in his situation, even though I'm, 30 years older than he is. So that's that constant battle of putting myself in his shoes and remembering what it was like to be, in the case of my sons, being a young teenager and all those types of things, and providing those opportunities that I can kind of, a little bit of instruction of like, hey, this is what I think about this. What do you think about this? Right. And help them kind of develop their own sense of, young adulthood and personalities for sure. But we have to stop filtering. And again, This is super, super hard. I'm not disregarding or discounting how difficult this is, but we have to stop filtering everything that we do or receive in communication from other people, whether by their actions or direct communication with us, through our own selfish lens. We have to, as the leader, if you are calling yourself the leader of your organization, if you're the business owner, you're the one who's responsible for bringing these people together to do something in the market, in your industry, you have to be able to do this. You have to step back and go, well, Kale, the 44-year-old former Air Force pilot, would do this, right? This is how I would attack that problem. But Kale, as the business owner, who has hired this employee that has a completely different background, like has never served in the military, doesn't have those experiences, has, maybe went to an Ivy League college or, has totally, to me, unrelatable experiences, and we're on this completely different wavelength. But I've done a good job of imparting my vision and goals and direction and mission for this business. We can find that common ground, and I can see as the business owner, I can see their perspective of how they're going to attack this problem and how that, is either beneficial or not to the organization at large, and then address it as needed. But like I said, this is quite possibly one of the hardest things to learn to do, because it's not just a one and done. It's not like, oh, I just got the tattoo, boom, got my stamp, and now I'm fixed, right? It's not that. It's a constant process of really failure, reminder, like, apologizing, going at it again, failing, apologize, step back, learning, how do we, and constant, just making yourself better. But this applies business, marriage, absolutely in marriage. If you want to stay married, in your community, in your church, on your community softball team, if you do that type of thing, or your Saturday morning jogging club, it applies everywhere, because you have to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes and see the world through their eyes and their perspective. And a lot of it really just comes down to, and can be solved by, just natural curiosity. Wow, Jane, I hadn't thought about that. What had you come to that conclusion? What caused you to steer that direction versus I was thinking about going this direction, right? Just that natural curiosity, instead of being, holy smokes, Jane, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life, and attacking her, or, Jane, whoever on your team, for having a different idea than you. And it absolutely could be a garbage idea and like the stupidest thing ever. But as part of your leadership journey, you help Jane, maybe that she was missing information or some data point that she had missed or overcorrected for, or whatever the case may be. But you see the difference, right, is that opportunity to kind of learn and adjust and bring Jane onto your side as a collaborative instead of adversarial in nature. But this is that ability and the perspective to be able to look at other people's perspective will unlock your leadership journey. It will unlock your leadership to levels that you hadn't even thought about before. You will be able to relate and understand people around you. And as a result of that, people will want to be around you because they know that you're, empathetic and you understand them better. Same thing in your relationships as you start changing the way, you react to these scenarios where you've come to these crossroads of like, I don't understand. And I've told this to my wife many times when we've kind of come to those, what I would consider not like hard stopping points, but like just complete differences of opinion. I will tell her, say, I'm having a very hard time understanding why you are doing this, or why you are thinking of this, or why you did this. Like, I just don't understand it. Basically help me understand, like, why are we having this argument when I think we should do this and you've done this, and here now we're at this crossroads, and instead of just letting it fester or just sweeping it under the rug and hoping it never happens again, yeah, good luck with that. I've started to ask those questions of and being honest, like, Liz, I don't understand, like, I get what you just did here, but I don't understand it, and it's that, and we have that discussion. And I'm not trying to say that, we have a perfect marriage or anything, but it's definitely gotten better in our communicating over the years because of those small little changes, such as being able to help understand each other's perspective, because her and I are very, very different. So that's enough about me. But as you're going through your workplace, look for these opportunities, and they'll probably present themselves as anger points or disappointment points or kind of points of irritation in your workplace and with your workforce, if you're the leader, if you're the manager, VP, store manager, whatever that is for you, and kind of step back and go, okay, what's happening here? What was the intent of that person that did that has me so irritated, or has me thinking that they don't know what they're doing, or whatever that is? And how have I failed as a leader to properly, whether it be train them or bring them on to my vision of this is the direction we're going, those types of things, right? So a lot of self-analysis with that. But be looking for those opportunities, and I would love to hear about them. Shoot me an email, Kale@kalehouserleadership.com. Drop a comment. Definitely a like and subscribe. If you've got people that you think would benefit from listening to this podcast, please share. Let me know. I'd be happy to shoot them an email myself and invite them personally. So think about that. Put yourself in other people's shoes, right? This is not a new concept, but it is so challenging, but also so necessary if you want to be successful as a leader. All right. No matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.